The reliability of the Bible, historical and archaeological evidence of Jesus and his crucifixion. Many people seek evidence for the Bible's accuracy and authority. This includes questions about textual criticism, historical accuracy, and apparent contradictions. From a historical and archaeological standpoint, Jesus of Nazareth stands out as one of the most well-documented figures of antiquity. Numerous ancient sources, archaeological findings, and scholarly investigations validate the details of Jesus' life, the events surrounding his death, and the key figures involved in his crucifixion. Through the lens of archaeology and history, we can gain profound insight into the authenticity of the Bible's accounts of Jesus, the Roman execution of him, and the political and religious forces at play. The historical Jesus, archaeological evidence of his existence. Direct archaeological evidence of Jesus. While there are no direct archaeological artifacts bearing the name Jesus or depicting him, there is substantial indirect evidence supporting the reality of his existence, primarily through historical writings and the archaeological confirmation of the places and customs described in the Gospels. Jewish and Roman sources. Several historical documents from non-Christian sources mention Jesus, lending credibility to his existence. Flavius Josephus, a Jewish historian from the 1st century AD, Josephus wrote about Jesus in his Antiquities of the Jews. He mentions Jesus' crucifixion under Pilate and his role as a teacher and healer. While some of his references may have been later interpolated by Christian scribes, the consensus is that Josephus attests to the existence of Jesus as a significant historical figure, noting his execution and the following he garnered. Tacitus, a Roman historian writing in the early 2nd century AD, Tacitus refers to Christus, Christ, who suffered under the governance of Pontius Pilate during the reign of Emperor Tiberius. Tacitus's writings are a powerful confirmation of the crucifixion of Jesus, providing an independent Roman account of the event. In Annals 1544, Tacitus mentions that Christus, from whom the name had its origin, suffered the extreme penalty during the reign of Tiberius at the hands of one of our procurators, Pontius Pilate. Pliny the Younger, writing around 112 AD in his letters to Emperor Trajan, Pliny refers to early Christians worshipping Jesus as a god. Though he does not mention the crucifixion directly, his correspondence indirectly affirms the existence of Jesus and the early Christian movement, which was centered on his teachings. While these sources do not provide direct archaeological evidence for Jesus' life and death, they do authenticate his existence as a real person and a significant figure in history. The Roman and Jewish writings corroborate the Gospel accounts, confirming that Jesus was indeed a historical figure who lived in the 1st century. The role of Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor. Historical and archaeological evidence for Pontius Pilate. One of the key figures in the crucifixion of Jesus is Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor who condemned Jesus to death. Archaeological findings provide compelling evidence of Pilate's historical presence, confirming the biblical account of his role in the trial and crucifixion of Jesus. The Pilate Inscription. In 1961, archaeologists discovered the Pilate Inscription in Caesarea Maritima, an ancient Roman city on the coast of Israel. This inscription, which is a stone tablet, bears the name of Pontius Pilate and his title as the prefect of Judea. The inscription is significant because it is the only known archaeological finding that directly mentions Pilate, thus confirming his role as the Roman governor during the time of Jesus' crucifixion. The inscription was part of a dedication to the Emperor Tiberius, providing both historical context and confirmation that Pilate governed Judea at the time of Jesus' trial. Roman coins. Coins minted during Pilate's reign as governor have been found bearing his image, confirming his historical role in the Roman Empire. These coins are important archaeological artifacts that not only substantiate Pilate's historical position but also offer insight into the political climate of the time. Historical role in the crucifixion. Pilate's role in the trial of Jesus, as presented in the Gospels, is consistent with the Roman practice of holding trials for political prisoners. Pilate is depicted as reluctant to condemn Jesus but ultimately gives in to the demands of the Jewish authorities and the crowd. His decision to wash his hands of the matter, as depicted in the Gospel of Matthew, has been the subject of theological discussion, but from a historical and archaeological perspective, his involvement is well documented. Pilate's reputation and his relationship with the Jewish authorities. Pilate is often portrayed in the Gospels as a Roman official who was reluctant to crucify Jesus, though historical evidence suggests that he was not always known for leniency toward the Jewish people. His relationship with the Jewish authorities was fraught with tension, and historical sources indicate that Pilate's governance was marked by cruelty and insensitivity toward the religious customs of the Jewish people. These tensions would have contributed to the Jewish leaders' insistence on Jesus' execution, despite Pilate's reservations. The Jewish authorities. Role of the Sanhedrin and High Priest Caiaphas. The Sanhedrin's role in Jesus' trial. The Sanhedrin was the highest Jewish court in Jerusalem, composed of 71 members, including the high priest. The Gospels portray the Sanhedrin as playing a central role in condemning Jesus, particularly through the actions of its leader, Caiaphas, the high priest at the time. Caiaphas' role in Jesus' trial. The Gospels describe Caiaphas as the driving force behind the decision to bring Jesus before Pilate, accusing him of blasphemy and claiming he was a threat to Roman rule. Archaeological discoveries shed light on Caiaphas' position and influence during this period. In 1990, archaeologists discovered the ossuary of Caiaphas, a bone box containing the remains of a Jewish high priest. The ossuary is inscribed with the name, Caiaphas, confirming the historical existence of the high priest who, according to the Gospel accounts, played a pivotal role in Jesus' arrest and trial. Caiaphas' influence. As the high priest, Caiaphas had significant authority over the religious and judicial matters of the Jewish community. The trial of Jesus before Caiaphas and the Sanhedrin reflects the political and religious tensions of the time. The Gospels present a portrayal of Caiaphas as a figure willing to use his influence to eliminate a perceived threat to the religious establishment. Archaeological evidence of his existence helps confirm the biblical narrative of a powerful high priest who was a key figure in the decision to bring Jesus to trial. The Sanhedrin and Roman collaboration. The Sanhedrin's trial of Jesus was conducted under Roman rule, meaning they did not have the authority to carry out a death sentence without Roman approval. This collaboration between the Jewish authorities and the Roman government is an important aspect of the historical and archaeological understanding of the crucifixion. The crucifixion, historical and archaeological evidence. The crucifixion in Roman practices. The crucifixion of Jesus is a central event in the Christian faith, and the historical and archaeological evidence supports the method of execution as a common Roman practice during the 1st century. Crucifixion was a brutal and humiliating form of execution reserved for the most serious criminals, including slaves, rebels, and political threats. The Bible's description of Jesus' crucifixion is consistent with what is known about Roman execution methods. Crucifixion nails and inscription. Archaeological discoveries, such as the crucifixion of Yehohanan, a 1st-century Jewish man found with a nail through his ankle bone, provide evidence of crucifixion practices during the time of Jesus. The discovery of crucifixion nails and the remains of individuals crucified confirms that this was indeed the manner in which Jesus was executed. The Gospels and the Roman process. The Gospels offer specific details about the crucifixion, such as the crown of thorns, the charge against Jesus, Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews, and the mockery Jesus endured. These details align with what is known about the Roman practice of crucifixion, where individuals were publicly humiliated and subjected to a painful death. While these aspects may seem exaggerated in religious texts, the historical and archaeological evidence shows that such elements were common during Roman crucifixion. The burial of Jesus. Archaeological evidence also corroborates the biblical account of Jesus' burial. The Gospels describe Jesus being buried in a new tomb by Joseph of Arimathea, a wealthy member of the Sanhedrin. The discovery of rock-cut tombs in Jerusalem and surrounding areas aligns with this account. These tombs were used by wealthy Jews for the burial of important individuals, which supports the idea that Jesus was buried in a manner consistent with the customs of the time. Conclusion. Archaeological evidence affirms the historical Jesus and his crucifixion. From an archaeological perspective, there is overwhelming evidence that Jesus was a historical figure, and the events surrounding his death, including the roles of Pontius Pilate, the Jewish authorities, and the method of crucifixion, are fully supported by the archaeological record. The biblical narratives align with Roman and Jewish historical practices, and numerous archaeological discoveries, such as the Pilate Inscription, Caiaphas Ossuary, and crucifixion nails, help confirm the accuracy of the Gospel accounts. Jesus' crucifixion, death, and burial are not merely theological events but are grounded in the historical realities of the time, supported by external sources and material evidence that affirm the Bible's reliability as a document of historical truth. This final version brings together the archaeological evidence for Jesus' existence, his crucifixion, and the people involved, offering a comprehensive historical perspective on the events leading to his death. So what do you think? Write your comments and give me like for this video to help this channel to grow.
In the shadows where we hide, fake smiles we can't abide, broken hearts but heads held high. In the depths we touch the sky, bare souls tangled in the breeze. Sorrow whispers, please don't freeze. Through the tears the comfort flows, gentle winds where solace grows. Their souls tangled in the breeze. Sorrow whispers, please don't freeze. Don't freeze. Through the tears the comfort flows, gentle winds where solace grows. Blessed are the weary minds, in their scars the light aligns. Heaven's doors are open wide, in our fears we won't reside. Courage brewed in cups of pain, every loss is not in vain. From the ashes we arise, sorrow turns to pure surprise. In the quiet we hear grace, radiant beams in every space. Holy moments etched in time, finding peace in broken rhyme. Hands that heal in simple care, love that's whispered everywhere. In the storm we find our mind, in each tear a spark of light. Blessed are the weary minds, in their scars the light lines. Heaven's doors are open wide, in our fears we won't reside. We won't reside. Hands that heal in simple care, love that's whispered everywhere. In the storm we find our